this is Kim with Mom's Creative Moments. Welcome back to my channel. I'm super excited today because I'm going to do another layout today based on the January virtual crop sketches and incorporate this into my Disney album. This is going to be super fun because while we were there for our Thanksgiving vacation, my son decided that he wanted a lightsaber. So he got to go and build his own lightsaber for real. They're like actual, they light up and make sounds, but they're really cool. And he got to design it himself and choose from a multitude of different things. So my daughter went in with him for that and did take some photos, so that's super fun. And yeah, this is going to be neat. So let's check out my workspace and get started on that layout. All right, so here's my workspace for today, and we are going to, I've done a little bit of pre-work on this, not necessarily because I specifically needed to, but because I just didn't want to take take your time and have to speed up the video. So I just went ahead and cropped most of my photos for this. As I mentioned before, this is one of the sketches from the January virtual crop for Creative Memories, and if you are keeping up with my videos, then you will have heard me mention before that Creative Memories is doing something new for 2024 in that they have offered us a tracker to keep track of which of the virtual crop sketches we have completed. And then at the end of the year, they intend to do a big drawing, I assume for Creative Memories product. And to get into the drawing, you have to be able to take a picture of your tracker, which looks like this, and have done all of the layouts. Now, you don't have to do all of the January layouts during the virtual crop weekend and have them submitted by the Tuesday following, but by the end of the year they all need to be done. So and it doesn't matter if you do one in January, in July, that's fine, but they just all need to be done by the end of the year, and they're going to draw 3 grand prize winners from all of the people who finish this. So it is worthwhile. I think it is something that can inspire you to get more pages done, and that's what this is all about, right? Is getting more of our memories recorded. So something to consider. And today we're going to do sketch number 1, which is actually a single page sketch, but as you know, I tend to not do just single pages in my albums. I tend to do double page layouts, and so I'm turning this into a double page layout, which is not too hard with this kind of a layout, because really it's just a border. We're only adding a border to our photos and some journaling and a few embellishments here or there. So this should be super fast and easy. It says right here to crop your photos to 5.5 by 3.5. So they're 5.5 wide by 3.5 high. If you don't have horizontal photos, then you could conceivably trim them the other way and make them 3.5. Let's see, 3.5 and 3.5 would be 7, plus another 3.5 would be 10.5, plus about a 1/2 inch for in between, which would be 11, and then a 1/2 inch on either end. So 1/4 inch in between, 1/2 inch on the edges. So you could get 3 vertical photos across if that's the kind of, those are the kind of photos you would need to do this layout with, which is totally fine. And you can tweak it however you need to tweak it. That's what's so beautiful about a sketch, is it's just meant to inspire you. So if you, you know, look at this and decide, I have vertical photos, I don't have horizontal photos, and you change it all to vertical photos, that's great. It works for you. And still submit that photo of your layout, because it counts. It works. It's a completed page, right? So anyway, this is the one we're going to do today, and it should be really quick because of the fact that I have gone ahead and cropped all of my pictures. So I mentioned to you before that my son was able to go and create his own lightsaber. That was partially because he had just graduated from high school, and we were congratulating him on a job well done. He had quite a bit of challenges with that. He was a COVID casualty. Having ADD and trying to do digital learning is just a sucky way to have to do your education, and it didn't really work for my kids. So anyway, he did complete it, and we wanted to reward him. So so here in these photos is the area in Galaxy's Edge. This is the area in Galaxy's Edge where you go to sign up. You do have to make an appointment. This is not something you can just walk into, because it is very organized. They have special shops where you can choose your different pieces for it. You have a special working area that's all yours. You're allowed to bring I think one person with you. My daughter went with him to assist. And and when you walk out, you do walk out with a fully functioning lightsaber. Of course, you're not going to cut anyone in half or anything like that, but it is really cool. This is what it looks like without the light portion that comes off of here. But he did take a picture of it for me, and I guess it goes this way. And so we bought him a few different cells. I can't remember what you call them, but the little cartridges that change the color of the light, and they also change the sound that it makes. And so that's kind of fun to do. And you can get those in this shop, which is next door, kind of up and around from this area where you go. Anyway, we're going to just do a very simple border for these 2 pages. And I pulled out, in order to do this, I pulled out a tearing tool. I don't know if you have a tearing tool or not. If you don't, that's okay. You don't really have to have one of these. These just help you kind of shape the tear if you're going to tear your paper and you want it to have a general guideline more than a randomness. And so I pulled out some different papers, and I'm going to use my tearing tool to create the border that they've got here shown at the bottom. And although this border does have the shape of the decorative trimmer, it has the super wavy edge, and then it has the lazy wave. You don't have to follow that. That's just their way of showing you an idea for the page. And so anyway, sorry, I'm just trying to kind of get an idea of what I want to do here. So I want to use 3 different pages, and I've got this one, which I honestly don't remember where this one came from, and I'm so sorry, because I do try to keep that in mind for you. The rest of these came from a pack that came out a few years back that was called Stone, if you remember that. And so it had many different representations of stone. That is not where this one came from. This one probably came from Hobby Lobby or someplace. I know, because it's not double-sided, and CM papers are always double-sided. So so it is not from there. But the colors in this, I feel like, are reflected in the photos that I'm using here. So I wanted to try to kind of get some of those more earthy tones into the border that I'm creating. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and move these pages out of the way to allow me a little more space to work. And we're just going to tear a few of these different borders. I think I want this dark one to be kind of the background, so I'm going to use the this more involved piece, and I'm going to actually give it quite a bit of space. That way I can get two different pieces off of this one tear that I'm going to do. And basically you just hold down the tearing tool and tear your paper. Alright, and if you want it to be a little more irregular, then I would say, can you see how this is a little more obviously torn here? This one looks a little bit almost like it was cut, and that's because I was pulling it up against the tool and pulling it off of the other bit of paper. This paper has a white core, that's why you can see the white in between, or the white along that edge there. So if you want to have that as your edge, and I'm thinking that that might be, you know, a good thing to have. So I'm just going to tear this again. I was going to use this piece, but because it tore too cleanly and I really want to be able to see the tear, I'm tearing it again. So I'm going to trim both of those. We'll save that one for another time. Alright, now let's see. I'm going to go ahead and flip this over and use this edge that's a little bit more relaxed. I also have found that if I tear a little bit at a time rather than tearing it all at once, it sometimes will give me a little bit better result if I want a more rough edge on my tear. See how I've got a little bit more of a rough edge here and here. Alright, so there's some of that paper, and we'll just play with putting this together. I'm going to go ahead and come back in here with the more humpy, I don't know, that's not a good term. The more bumpy edge, and by just tearing a little bit at a time, then I can get that more jaggedy kind of an edge. Okay. Alright, so let me grab my trimmer and see here what we need to do. I know you're probably saying, well, that has now an edge across the bottom, which you're right, it does, but that doesn't mean that that has to be my edge for the edge that I use, I guess is what I'm trying to say. You can layer this however you want. You can put one at an angle if you want to, so that it's kind of a little bit more dramatic. kind of like that. Let me go ahead and just use some repositionable adhesive, and we'll just sort of temporarily stick this down, and then we'll come back in and we'll have to trim it so that it is what we want it, where we want it to be. But I like the fact that these overlap. I think that's okay to do. Kind of creates a little bit of a variance, and let's see. Now we could go with this one, or we could go with this one. So if we wanted to do the same, we would have to kind of overlap it like that, but I don't think we necessarily need to do these the same. I think if I do want to keep the layers in the same order for continuity's sake, but I think we'll maybe go with something kind of like that. And I'll come back in here and put these down a little bit more firmly. When we know for sure this is what we want. But let me just play with this for a minute. Do we want the wider edge in the middle? Do we want maybe this to come down? Maybe we don't need it quite so far. Up. Something a little bit like that. I don't know, maybe that's a little bit of too much. Wish these two slates looked a little bit more like they are the same. I mean, they are the same. We know they're the same. I just cut them or tore them off, but they do look a little bit odd to me. I wonder. Let's see. What if we flipped this around so that we had this darkness on the outside edge? So that had a little more continuity there. Let me grab this and we'll tear. Tear that off like so, and we can kind of put that darker edge more to the outside. Kind of like that better. I love that repositionable adhesive, right? Just rub it right off. Okay, I think I like that. So let's go ahead and trim it. So we're going to trim it so that our edges are nice and straight, and I need to make sure my foot is up on the outside of this so that it's level. There we go. So we're going to trim it so that it's nice and straight, and or as straight as possible. So this back piece is not going to be wide enough, and the gray piece I need to move over just a little. Because otherwise it's not going to span our 12-inch piece. Alright, so the middle and the bottom piece, which are CM papers, are 12 inches, so that's not going to be a problem. But the back piece is a little shy, so we'll just work with that. Alright, so let's check this one. And again, knowing that that back piece is just a little bit shy of where it needs to be, I think we'll be okay. Alright, so next we need to decide, well, how high do we want this to go? I think I'm going to go with something about 3 to 3.5 inches. So let's go with 3.5 inches. And I'm just going to cut that off. 3.5 inches. Then I'm going to come in with this one and make this one the same. So the top piece of the dark, the orangey material is going to be 3.5. And go ahead and just trim off that base edge. And then there are our borders. So now I'm going to come in here and just test them out here just a little bit. This one we're going to trim in just a second, so that's why it's sort of floating around. Alright, so this guy's going to go here, this guy will go here. Or we could move them around just a little like that. This photo will go on top when we get to that. All right. Okay, so let's go ahead. I'm gonna use my regular adhesive, which decides to run out at just the right time. So let me grab another refill cartridge. Here we go. There. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and get this adhered on the main points, and then I'm going to come back in and make sure my layers are down where I want them to be. In fact, I'm going to use my scissors and just, instead of, since this clearly doesn't make the, I'm not going to use scissors, I'm going to tear it, because that clearly doesn't make the cut as far as getting all the way to the end of my 12-inch border. We'll just tear it off so that it looks a little bit more like it's supposed to be like that. Right? Now I'm going to come back in here and add some permanent adhesive so that those borders stay where I want them to be. So this is fairly secure in here, but this end is not. So we're just gonna do like that. And taking a look here, we've got the same issue with this one, so I'm just gonna tear this off, this corner off. And maybe we'll just sort of make this go up. I like that better. All right, so now we're gonna adhere these, and I'm adding a little bit of adhesive where the papers are coming together as well, because I feel like it just will help anchor it down a little bit better. And like I said, we'll go back and add more if we need to. So starting from the middle and working my way out to the outer edge, so that if my papers are short for whatever reason, and occasionally CM papers are short too, there is something they call an acceptable, I can't remember the right terminology, but there's like a little bit that they consider to be okay. I think it's kind of rude when my papers that are supposed to be 12 inches are not 12 inches, but it's a variance that is accepted in the industry, so we don't really have an option, unfortunately. All right, so I think that was working. I'm going to go ahead and adhere down the photos that you see here, and then we'll address the lightsaber. Coming up with the embellishments for this I've been thinking about it, but I'm not really, I really haven't come up with anything like stupendous. So if you can think of anything super cool that would be awesome to add to this as an embellishment, maybe you could include that in the comments for other people to be able to use. I think I'm going to, since we have some red in the sweatshirts we were wearing that day, and there's some red in just little bits of red here and there, I'm going to go ahead and just use some red in my embellishments that I'm going to use. And this is just a matte card that I'm trimming. And I'm just trimming it so that it doesn't take up quite as much room. And we can journal on this. We can make some lists of all the fun accoutrements that are a part of this lightsaber. I have some gems that I pulled out, which I thought would be fun to use. Their moons and different things. I pulled out, so here are some stars that are along that same kind of color scheme that were punched. I have some silver paper I could punch some more stars from. The rest of these are from various theme park packs. Sparks of Magic being the main one. These two I'm going to toss over there. Sparks of Magic being the main one, but I also have a few of these that are on chipboard, and the chipboard ones definitely came from Echo Park, in case that's something that interests you. These were an older collection, which is escaping me right now, but I'll try to remember to put it in the comments if we do use them. So just trying to kind of make comments on the fact that this was a super fun, very special thing that he got to do. So this says smiles from ear to ear, which he had so much fun doing this, and Make-A-Wish. Let's put together just a couple of clusters to kind of go on either side, and we'll add this probably over here into our landscape, since we have these that are poking down on this side. So we'll add a cluster here, maybe add a cluster on kind of over here, and then do a little journaling here. In the sketch, they have you journaling across the bottom of the photos, which is also a good idea. But I think, since I'm working on black pages, we'll do this one that says Make-A-Wish, and then maybe we'll do this as the happiest place on earth. Make-A-Wish. We should do some stars. I'm going to put that over there. Happy magic moments. If we did like that to just kind of balance out the black. Making memories magic. We'll add some stars. I think that star was made using the open star punch. It looks like the center of the open star punch. So let me see if I can get another one of those. It's hard to see. Ooh, almost got it. Look at that. That's pretty cool. Maybe we'll try that again and do one. Try to do one for the other side. I'm just looking into the center of my punch. I'm squeezing it down just a little bit of the way, and then I can see kind of where it's going to punch, just to make sure that the paper that I'm using, since it's a remnant and not a full sheet, gets most of what I'm trying to get. So I think actually that may be enough. We've got a little bit of red on each side. We've got a little bit of blue on each side. Got some gold and some blue and some Make-A-Wish. Okay, I think this is good. I'm going to go ahead and stick these down. All right, so that is that. Let me know what you think. I'm going to go ahead and put some bullet points here on what was going on and what he added to his lightsaber. And yeah, I think that's it for today. Let me know what you think. I always love to hear your comments and know your thoughts. So I look forward to hearing from you. Until next time, I hope you have many more creative moments. Have a great day.